Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unco, a podcast about what's unusual in tech. I'm your host, Timothy Buck. This is the very first episode of Unco, and I wanted to start off the series by sharing some of my goals for this show, some of the different formats the show will take over time, and end it off with one thing I find unusual in tech right now. I've been mulling over the idea of starting a podcast for several years now, but I'm finally taking the plunge because it just seems like the right time in my career and in my personal life, and I'm really excited about what Unco can become over time. I plan to publish Unco weekly, and I expect episodes to follow two really distinct formats. Some will be like this one. Solo podcasts where I talk about something that I find unusual in tech. I'll share thoughts, experiences, stories. Episodes like this will tend to be a bit shorter and will focus on smaller things like apps or what's going on in the news at that time, or specific things that Apple or Amazon or Google or Microsoft or Facebook or some startup is doing at the time. But I also plan to invite guests to the show. I have a few lined up already, and I'm really pumped about how that can turn out. Some will be people who are already deep in the startup world, in the tech world. Startup founders, tech journalists, developers, product managers like me. People who are really a part of tech in every day of their life. And other people I want to bring in are going to offer more of an outsider's view of what's unusual in tech. Artists, academics, international businessmen and women, people who use tech all the time, who are affected greatly by tech and the tech world, but who can, like I said, bring more of an outsider's perspective on what's going on in tech. And in those interviews, some of them will focus on smaller things like recent news or on a specific app or tool. But I feel like a lot of them will end up focusing on bigger picture items about how tech is affecting the world, how it's affecting them particularly, and I'm excited to see how that can turn out, how those conversations will go, and what those guests will want to talk about and their perspectives on things. I hope you'll join me for this journey. It's an exciting thing, and I really hope you enjoy it. Now I'm going to share one thing that I find unusual in tech. And this week it's something small. It's just an app that I found recently that I think is kind of funny. It shows that the developers have a sense of humor, and it's something that shows how apps have become more and more a part of our culture. So this is an app called Die With Me. It's a chat app, and it costs 99 cents, but it's not really a competitor to WhatsApp or iMessage or any of these big chat apps that are made by massive companies like Facebook and Apple or Google. Instead, this is a chat app that only works when you have less than 5% battery life. This is an Android app and an iOS app. Like I said a second ago, it costs 99 cents. And I bought it recently and went ahead and downloaded it. And when you download it and open the app, it just tells you can't use it yet because you have 70% battery. And it just tells you your battery life, and it'll sit there. And once you have less than 5% battery life, then the app will give you this option to enter a nickname. And you enter a nickname, and then you get added to a chat room. And this is a chat room only of people who have phones with less than 5% battery life left. And so you just chat with random people as you kind of say goodbye. The way that the app creators call it, they're like little description is you can die together in a chat room on your way to offline peace. It's just a funny little idea. It's a fun app. Definitely want to support the creators of it. Came up with a good idea. They executed it well. It works well. It looks good on my iPhone 10. And something unusual that's happening in tech right now. And yeah, you should definitely check it out. I will link to it in the show notes. And this is not an ad. It's just something that I found and I thought was fun. And I hope you enjoy it. So that's it for the inaugural episode of Unco, a podcast about what's unusual in tech. You can keep up with Unco by following @_UncoFM on Twitter. You can also join the Unco community on the website, unco.fm. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also stay up to date with my writing over at timothybuck.me or by following me on Twitter at timothybucksf. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this first episode, and I hope to see you all again.